Welcome everybody to the monthly Lee Enterprises consulting team call for May 2021. This is Wayne Lee, CEO of Lee Enterprises, and today we are honored to have as our guest speaker the United States Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack. At the outset, I want to give a personal thank you to the Secretary for making the time to speak with us, as I know he's on a very tight schedule today. I also want to thank in advance the Special Assistant to the Secretary, Doug McCaleb, who is also on the call and will remain with us to answer some of our specific questions that you all have sent to me after the Secretary has to leave. And then finally, a special thank you to our own Bill Hagee for lining this up to us. For us, as most of you know, Bill served as Secretary Vilsack's Special Assistant for Renewable Energy during his first term. So I will do a very brief introduction of Secretary Vilsack. His political career began in 1987 as the mayor of Mount Pleasant, Iowa. In 1992, he was elected to the Iowa Senate, and in 1998 became the first Democrat to serve as the governor of Iowa in 30 years, and only the fifth Democrat to hold that office in the 20th century. After 2 terms as Iowa governor, he explored a presidential campaign of his own, eventually supporting Barack Obama. He was appointed the 30th Secretary of Agriculture in early 2009 and served both terms until 2017. After staying away from the political arena for a few years, President Biden has coaxed him back into service and nominated him to again become the Secretary of Agriculture. The Senate Agriculture Committee unanimously approved that nomination in early February, and he was overwhelmingly confirmed as the 32nd Secretary of Agriculture by the Senate on February 23rd. Before I turn the floor over to the Secretary, I do want to note that Tom Vilsack has been a friend to the renewable energy industry for many, many years in many, many different capacities. He's been recognized by our friends at Biofuels Digest as the top individual in their top 100 people supporting the bioeconomy. Mr. Secretary, again, we're honored to have you on our Lee Enterprises consulting team call today. And as I know your time is short, I will ask you to share your thoughts on how the USDA will be supporting President Biden's clean energy program. So please feel free to speak as long as your time allows.
Well, thank you very, very much. And it's certainly an honor to be with all of you today. Appreciate the opportunity to reconnect with Bill Hagee. As you indicated, Bill was with us when we launched a concerted effort to promote the bioeconomy, especially focusing on renewable energy. He did a tremendous job in a leadership position, and it's good to be reconnected with him. And it's good to be reconnected with all of you, and appreciate Doug McCaleb's assistance and help on this call. And hopefully he'll be able to respond to most of your questions after I finish with my remarks. And I apologize that my schedule is such that I can't stay with you for the entire time of the call. Let me begin by reassuring you that President Biden is very much committed to the bioeconomy. In fact, I think you'll find that it is central to his plan to rebuild and revitalize the rural economy. I say this with some confidence because if you look at the American Jobs Plan, you'll see that the president has chosen to propose to Congress the investment of literally billions of dollars into climate-smart agriculture, into renewable energy, and bio-based manufacturing. He understands and appreciates that if we're to reach the goals that he has set for American agriculture by the year 2030, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and the goal that he has set for American agriculture to be the first agricultural industry in the world to reach net zero emissions by 2050, that we're not going to be able to do this without a significant commitment to the bioeconomy. He understands that it is important and necessary for us to look for ways to convert agricultural waste product into a wide variety of fuels and energy and materials, fabrics and fibers. He's excited, as I am, about the opportunity to work with the industry to really create an alternative to a fossil fuel-based industry that we've relied upon for quite some time. It's fairly clear that we're going to have to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. And it's also very clear that we need a growing economy in rural places. And what better way to do this than a bio-based economy? I think there's enormous potential for the bioeconomy, ranging everywhere from renewable energy and fuels to carbon sequestration to bio-based manufacturing. I spent 4 years in the dairy industry before I took this job back. I still committed U.S. agriculture, in particular the dairy industry, is to this conversion. There's some exciting potential with reference to the manure that's produced on large dairy operations to convert that manure into a multitude products. This is important because it creates alternative income opportunities for farmers, branch out to broaden the capacity of farmers to benefit from more than just simply the sale of commodity crops and livestock. The reality is that unfortunately and tragically today in America, 89.6% of our farms do not generate the majority of income for those who operate, suggesting that we need additional ways for farmers, ranchers, and producers to make a living off the land if we're to preserve the diversity and the strength of American agriculture. To do that, we need to figure out new ways for these folks to make a living, paying them for carbon sequestration, paying them for agricultural waste and the conversion of that agricultural waste to manufacturing jobs located in rural places, which is, as I say, central to the president's vision for a renewed and revitalized rural economy. The American Jobs Plan is incredibly important to this. The president has proposed a $15 billion commitment to subsidized credit for bio-based manufacturing. He has proposed billions of dollars for climate-smart agricultural practices and renewable energy. He has suggested an opportunity for us to work with rural electric cooperatives as they convert from their reliance on coal-fired generation to a new day where the energy that is being produced on the farm and for small communities throughout rural America is bio-based. So there, I think, a tremendous opportunity here for us at USDA to partner with the industry using all of the tools that will be available through the American Jobs Plan and through our traditional Farm Bill programs to provide the resources and the financial resources and the leadership to make this new day happen. We're also seeing in this American Jobs Plan a significant commitment, an historic commitment, if you will, to the importance of science and research. I think for the last several years, the previous administration, science kind of took a back seat. Certainly at USDA, we saw a significant reduction in focus on science and the science mission of USDA. There was a significant transfer out of Washington, D.C. into Kansas City of the operations of the National Institute of Food and Agriculture and the Economic Research Service. Those two entities are incredibly important to the science mission of USDA, and they were transferred to Kansas City, and the result was we had literally hundreds of vacancies of our key scientists that are we're now in the process of accelerating and aggressively trying to fill those positions so we get back into investing in science. We know and appreciate the role that research is going to play in this ability to create a bio-based economy in America, and certainly in rural America. So the American Jobs Plan calls for tens of billions of dollars being invested in research that can further this effort. There's also an area as well in the president's vision on nutrition. As we look at precision nutrition, I think we're going to find out that there is more to learn, if you will, from biotechnology and the way in which food is used and produced and processed that will allow us to become perhaps a healthier nation as well, both economically and physically. We're faced with a pretty significant challenge when it comes to nutrition. 70% of adults in this country are overweight or obese. 60% of us have chronic disease. 40% of us has 2 or more chronic diseases. And the cost of this in terms of the economy is absolutely breathtaking. And the fact is we've got a younger generation that has an even significantly higher risk of chronic diseases going into adulthood. This is not just an economic issue and a healthcare cost issue. It's also a national security issue. Retired admirals and generals will tell you that they're deeply concerned about the fate of our all-volunteer military, if simply because we don't have enough young people who are physically fit to do the work of defending this country. So to the extent that the biotechnology, to the extent that we can learn more from biology to understand better how to utilize the nutrition that we are growing and providing to particularly to our young children, that too is an element that sometimes when you think of the bioeconomy and the bio-based economy, you don't think necessarily of nutrition, but we are thinking that way at USDA. So I hope from these brief remarks, you understand and appreciate that we are very committed. The president also understands that our fuel and energy systems have got to be transferred and we have to move away from that fossil fuel reliance. And that's why you're going to continue to see not just a focus on electric cars, but also a focus on low emission biofuels. There is an opportunity, I think, for ethanol production facilities to essentially take the CO2 that's produced from those production processes and figure out ways in which that CO2 could be stored, which creates an opportunity for us to have a low emission biofuel. And the reality is we're going to need that biofuel for a considerable period of time, because it's going to take a long time for us to transition our fleet, if you will, to an electric fleet. It's going to take probably 20, 30, 40 years for that to happen. So in the meantime, for our transportation system, we're going to need low emission biofuel. We're also going to need low emission biofuel. And I'm really excited about this opportunity. There's a grand challenge at the Department of Energy to create a 35 to 36 billion gallon, 100% drop in aviation fuel industry. This is a tremendous opportunity for us to see literally a doubling of the biofuel industry in this country. As we look at aviation and marine fuel, I think the reality is it's going to be a long, long while before we have the battery power sufficient to have people feel confident and comfortable flying in an airplane long distances or being on ships in the middle of the ocean. And so we're going to continue to see a significant impact and effort to develop this drop-in aviation and marine fuel, which opens up a whole new vista of opportunity as well. And so whether it's converting our rural electric cooperatives to clean energy, or whether it's developing new aviation fuel, or whether it's focusing on net zero emission agriculture or low emission biofuels, I think the opportunities are literally endless here. And I think that there is going to be resources with the passage of the American Jobs Plan. There's going to be a focus during this administration, and I can commit to you that the USDA is going to be very much involved in all of this effort to try to promote and to extend this bio-based economy. So I look forward to continued conversation, continued partnership with all of you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my good friend, Doug McCaleb, who is far more knowledgeable about this stuff than I am. And he hopefully will be able to respond to as many of your questions as time permits. So again, thanks very much for the opportunity to visit with you. And I look forward to continued conversation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. This is Wayne Lee again. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. We very much recognize and appreciate your dedication to agriculture, to rural America, to sustainability, and to the renewables industry. And I will say, on behalf of our 150 plus professional think tank here at Lee Enterprises Consulting, please know that we're always available to assist you in any way that we can. So thanks for being with us. We appreciate you taking the time.
Wayne, thank you very much. Take care.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, next I'm going to introduce Doug McCaleb, and